You'll hear her words through firefighter Nuttall. She said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. And it was at that time, through the words of the defendant, that she admitted what she had done that night.
You'll learn that the Commonwealth has pinned its entire case on a brazen and a flawed assertion that is untethered, unconnected to the facts.
All right, opening statements this morning, and now testimony underway in the retrial of Karen Read, the Massachusetts woman accused of killing her police officer boyfriend John O'Keefe back in January of 2022. Her first trial ended with a hung jury. How will this one turn out? Let's bring in Mark Eiglarsh and Dmitriy Shakhnevich. They're both criminal defense attorneys. And Mark, let's start with you, because we heard there from Hank Brennan, who is the lead prosecutor, as well as Alan Jackson, who's the defense attorney for Karen Read, talking about a paramedic firefighter from Canton named Timothy Nuttall. And Jackson was doing everything he could with Nuttall on the stand today to impugn him as a witness, saying that everything that he recalled in the first trial, he is recalling incorrectly. How did Jackson do in terms of negating him as an impact statement?
Well, we won't know that until we hear from the jurors. You know, the job of a defense lawyer is rather challenging. It's to create reasonable doubt. But he's pretty sure that he heard her say, I did it. And to corroborate that, he's got several other witnesses who also heard from her lips the same thing. Add that to the scientific evidence. Each vehicle has the equivalent of a black box like airplanes have. And they know to scientific certainty that she put her car in reverse and went 24.2 miles an hour in reverse. And then, I ask you, to follow the light. Wait for it. I'm talking about the tail light. Bits of red and clear taillight plastic pieces were left on the scene that match her vehicle perfectly. This is a very challenging case from the defense perspective.
So, Dmitry, Read claims that somebody else killed her boyfriend after she dropped him off at a party that was being hosted by some of his colleagues, and that she was being framed for it. The judge, though, is going to limit how far down the road Jackson can go in terms of saying, well, it was somebody else. It wasn't Karen Read who did it. Here's what legal expert Linda Kenny-Baden thinks that defense attorney Alan Jackson is going to do on that front. She said, quote, like a higher wire specialist, Alan is going to dance the line. Sometimes when you do that, you fall off, or in this case, Brennan is going to try to push him off objecting. So given the limitations that the judge is putting on it, how far can Jackson go down the road of saying it wasn't her, it was someone else?
So, John, in every criminal trial, right, before the defense lawyer could put forth the defense, there is typically an offer of proof that is made, right? In other words, there has to be some showing that that defense is viable or is based in the law and based in fact. Now, assuming he can take that as far as he can take that, he has to be careful with the police corruption defense, right? That's a tried and true defense in this country in criminal cases. It has been for decades. But still, in this country, the majority of folks are pro-police. Therefore, jurors are generally pro-police. So you have to be careful how far you can push that. In this retrial, the defense will have the right to go further into that federal investigation of the state police. So they do have some room, but they have to be careful as it relates to pushing the police angle too far.
We're expecting that there could be some fireworks at this trial. I want to play just a couple of moments from the opening statements. First, Brennan, then Jackson. Listen here.
You will see the tension and the unraveling of the relationship. You will read about the discord between the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe. You will read those text messages, and you will realize that this was the beginning of the end of this relationship.
The story you'll hear is about an investigation that was riddled with errors from the beginning, a rush to judgment, conflicted, and corrupted from the start. Corrupted by bias, corrupted by incompetence, and corrupted by deceit.
So, Mark, the morning of O'Keefe's death, the two of them apparently had had an argument. They did go out drinking together that night, but there is also an alleged voicemail that Read left O'Keefe in which she said, I hate you. So where do you think that will take the jury?
Motive. I mean, if they were, like newlyweds, one would question, well, maybe this didn't happen the way that they're alleging. But she clearly evidenced her hatred towards him. You add that to the other evidence suggesting that they were on the rocks, he was trying to pull away. That absolutely shows that she has motive. Now, on the other side, we just heard the defense talk about a shoddy investigation. There's truth to that, too. The lead investigator was fired.
Yes.
I mean, he really wrote some inappropriate things in this particular case, and that's going to help the defense.
All right. So let's look at what the first trial looked like by the numbers. Put it up on the screen here so you can follow along. It was 9 weeks long, 5 days of deliberations by the jury, 74 witnesses testified, more than 650 pieces of evidence were entered into the record. Dmitry, retrials often go better for the prosecution because they already know what the witnesses are going to say. And if you look at all of that information, all of the witnesses, all of the pieces of evidence, I mean, the prosecutors have to know at this point whether or not they can convince a jury.
That's right. In this country, the prosecution has the burden, right? So generally speaking, throughout the pre-trial hearings and the pre-trial phases of the case, they are to turn over more evidence than the defense is obligated to turn over. In this particular case, and in retrials in general, those defense theories are already out there. So it's going to be certainly more difficult, particularly with now this newfound publicity in the case, for the defense to argue some of these theories, to argue the police corruption theories and some of the other third-party suspect theories they have. It'll be difficult given the newfound publicity of the case, and of course the fact that it's a retrial and all the cross-examination has already been out there. That makes this case tougher for the defense.
All right, we'll keep following it. Dmitriy Shakhnevich and Mark Eiglar.